Yeah, I feel lucky to have an audience, I think sometimes it kind of blows my mind,
Yeah.
and I think I mostly just keep working.
Yeah.
That's like the only feel like the thing I know how to do best. Like my biggest relationship is probably with my work. I was thinking the other day, somebody's like, "Are you going to get a wife?" And I'm like, "Well, I have, 40 hours a week. I have this woman, I have this work feels like my wife, a lot of times."
But I just to press pause there. I think young people have to have a sober conversation with themselves around trade-offs. And that is, I ask my kids, when I say my kids, my students, where they expect to be economically and in terms of influence. And 70% of them expect to be in the top 1% within 10 years. And what I have found is that if you want to be in the top 1% from an influence, from a real spiritual reward from your work, from a financial standpoint, you pretty much have to go all in for 10, probably 20 years. The capitalist society is very good at figuring out who's really in it for the full 110%. I don't know anyone who's reached the level of success you've reached without pretty much going all in on work. And it comes at a trade-off. It comes at a trade-off of relationships. It comes at a trade-off in terms of your own fitness, your own mental well-being. But from the age of like 25 to 45, I really don't remember much else than working.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's the right way.
Right. Yeah.
But it was
not at all.
It was my way. And I don't regret it.
Huh. Yeah, it's funny because I think I do. I think I lament sometimes. Not like it's so funny you say that. Like this afternoon, I know I have like about 2 hours, and I'm like, do I go to an AA meeting or do I stretch? Right. Those are like my two. Like, which one is gonna help me more for tomorrow? But really, like it's like, yeah, do I do some type of a fitness thing or do I do like a wellness thing? Like a recovery thing. But yeah, it's funny. I thought about that a lot recently, like, because work was like something that I think was like, I knew what the return could be, right? So it was a manageable relationship. Right. Whereas I think other relationships for me, and I'm not getting into self-pity, those have been tougher to manage, or I didn't have as much luck. And not luck in meeting women, but luck in actual managing relationships. Yeah. And so then I was like, well, but this relationship I can manage, and I know what the return can be based on my investment. And there's not a ton of emotional pain involved in it for me or other people, unless you work for me. Sometimes I can get a little heady,
Yeah, and this is going to sound crass, but the opportunities, your selection set for mating will broaden as you become more successful professionally. That's just a cruel truth of capitalism. The trade-off will become the relationships with your parents, your relationship with God. I know you're a spiritual person, the relationship you have with yourself. But the world is unfair as it relates to men, and that is as long as our trajectory of success professionally and economically is upward, we are afforded a disproportionate number of mating opportunities.
So wait, so say that part again, the end part again?
If you have money, you can get laid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. If you have money, you can get laid. But there's trade-offs too.
Huge trade-offs.
Yeah.
One of the things I wish I'd done, I wish I'd started with kids a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. I have 2 boys. One of my biggest regrets is I wish I had a third. I wish I had a daughter. I think a lot about like how much I'm enjoying it, and I was working so hard that I didn't have a lot of time with them. And they're gone. That 8-year-old that used to come in and sleep in my bed with me on the Sunday mornings, he's gone. And I see the kind of the gentleness my friends have with some of their girls. I really messed up. And I'm blessed to have 2 boys. I'm a glass half empty kind of guy. I look at stuff. I know rationally I'm blessed to have 2 boys, but I look at it like I wish I'd had more kids. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 44. I need to get some children. I would like to get some.
I mean, I don't know much about you, but I would argue that I'm not one of these people that says you can't be happy without kids, but I didn't want to have kids. I wanted to be rich and awesome. Those are my priorities in that order. Yeah. And what I found is all of that is a means to an end. In a capitalist society, you have to be able to be economically viable. Otherwise, your kid's going to feel that stress. It's going to put stress on your partnership. But for the first time in my life, there's these moments, Theo, where you're watching Premier League football and your kids roll in and they jump on the couch and the dogs come over and your kids just sort of naturally throw their legs on yours. And it's the only time I've ever had this feel, and maybe you've had it other places, where I'm like, this is enough. Mm. When I was your age, coming to New York, staying in a hotel like this, I wanted every afternoon I'd start thinking, where am I going tonight that's cool? I was at Equinox yesterday. Is there a cooler gym? I'm at Zero Bond. Is there a more exclusive club? I'm hanging out with this interesting, hot group of people. Tomorrow, can I hang out with more interesting, more hot people? This is how much money I made this month. Can I make more? It was just like more. Fuck it, I want more. And
Where did it come from? Sorry, go on. And more. And the only
time I've ever been like, okay, this might be enough is usually in the presence of my kids.